Hello, hello. Hello, hello. I'm going to check my audio levels because I'm seeing weird stuff on the gosh darn feed. So, I think we're okay. All right. Bringing back in the game audio. Switching over the scene. That's the wrong one. I have two citizen sleepers because one of them I do when I just want to capture the game footage, and this one is when I want to see y'all and I want y'all to see me. Hello. Welcome back. It is part 3 of our Citizen Sleeper playthrough. Part 2 was an audible after the randomizer, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time randomizer, was a real butt. And I'm not afraid to say that. I might get demonetized for it, but it was a butt and a half. It was expecting me to do things that I could not, and I think that's rude. Personally, my opinion, that's rude. But we don't have to worry about that. We're playing Citizen Sleeper and not Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time randomizer. Adjust your schedules accordingly. And we're going to go ahead and hop back in. My hair is doing this today. I cannot control it. I have tried many times. It's just doing that. That's just how it's gonna be. It's just the way of the world. What were we? We have an upgrade, but we were saving it up? No, we have 2 available. We were gonna do this. We were going to make it so that agent nodes give double data rewards. That's right. Now I recall. So let's see. Brief introduction if this is your first time joining Citizen Sleeper. We are... Actually, we were looking at the character. We are an android who has been imprinted with the personality and memories of a human due to some late-stage capitalism malarkey. Essentially, the human body that our mind came from is now in deep sleep, owned by a megacorp. This is bad. In case this isn't clear, this is bad. And we said, I'm not having that. I'm going to make a getaway, which is great, except that we have built in redundancies so that if we don't get certain meds from said megacorp, our body starts shutting down. And so we have this contact who can get us those meds for a price. We currently have some stabilizer. That's what we need. So we're okay for the moment, but we need money for it. And here on... Oh, it has a name. I'm trying to remember or see if there's... if it's going to tell me the name in one of these. These are my various quests. I don't see a name for it. Winter Light, pay Dragos, pay Ethan's tab. Doesn't really matter. We'll call it the Ring. There's another name for it, but I'm forgetting it right now. There's lots of folks on here, some of whom need our help, some of whom want to make life worse for us. We've got our good buddy Ethan, who's a bounty hunter who's racking up a tab at the bar instead of turning us in. Not great. Not great for us. Oop. Fang is hopefully going to help us disable the tracker that's in here if we deliver some Solheim data. So that's what we're going to focus on right now. So we're looking for Solheim agents. That's Havenage we don't care about. Havenage we don't care about. Yadigan we don't care about right now. Let's try hopping over to Greenway, see if there's anything. Greenway Gate. No, okay. What's Greenway Gate? Probably need to unlock it with something. The entire Greenway is locked down, shrouded in a dark cloud of shifting currents. What is happening here? I don't have Greenway Circuit. Okay. Not going to worry about that right now. That does mean I don't have access to the data that I want, that I really, really want. Deal with that. What do I want to do, though? I need to pick a quest and decide to follow it. That's what I need to do. Bring mushrooms to the Briar. I could do that. Build a data mine. I'm working on that. Let's go work at the commune. I have not explored this quest line very thoroughly. I do need money. There's one thing about communes. It's not paying well in currency, but it might be worth it. That needs mushrooms and it is late game play. Need to upgrade my Endure to do that. Okay. Yeah, let's work here. Let's work the grow beds. Oh, that's very good. Yeah. Okay, 4 more there. I will save the 3 and spend it elsewhere. I don't have anything that's a +2, right? No. It would have been nice. Let's see if I can spend a 3 on one of these. I can. I'd rather do it on an agent. Yes. Got some money for my intercept. I don't want to do this yet, for reasons that I know about. Antique Raven. Raven's here. Thank you for the sub. How goes the sleeping? Oh, restless. Tossing and turning. Thank you for asking. I'm gonna stabilize a little bit, get that full up. Body is repaired. And we are going to end this cycle. Oh, those are some very good dice rolls. These dice rolls are above average for the most part. We love to see it. Oh, you're not mousing over and popping up anything. Maybe it's a secret. Havenage, Havenage. We want it to be not Havenage. Or Yadigan. But it seems that may be too high a price to ask. Let's work here and get some cryo. And a random scrap item. That's what I really knew was coming. I can finish the apartment building. Gotta dump a bunch of scrap in here. As one does. I need to seal the unit. It's risky. Once this place is sealed, it will be livable in, maybe even comfortable. A place to call your own. Where was I gonna go? That's that, which I don't want to do yet. I need more intuition to play. Do I have Havenage data? I do. I don't want to help yet again. They seem sketch. They seem sketch. Havenage can get me a ship mine. I think that's the one I've been looking for. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't give that to them. I gotta hold on to it. Let's get some data. Okay, it is Havenage I want. It's good to remember things. Remember things. That's 3 Havenage data. I need 2 more so I can get a ship mined so that I can either go help out the consciousness living in a vending machine or to help fix the ambergris and my bounty hunter friend. I think she's a bounty hunter. She definitely has that aesthetic. Neutral outcome. Get some money, work on the ship. Love to see it. End the cycle. The rolls are not quite so good today. We'll start off by getting some lunch. The rolls are in fact pretty bad. Let's see. That's not where I want to be. I want to be at derelict unit. That's right. With these pretty bad rolls, let's go help out in the commune. Because these are safe actions. Hey, we got 2 neutrals that have filled up the gauge. Communist. Noun. Someone who joins the commune is the achievement I just got. You head down into the Haifa compound, following a blue painted line that is labeled Laboratories. The member you were assigned to work with told you they'd ask to see you, but you still have no idea what about. The line takes you to a blue door and through, to a glass-roofed chamber where a network of stems and leaves filters the sunlight coming through the ceiling, casting the whole chamber in a strange yellow-green. Peaceful, isn't it? Distracted by the green, you missed the woman standing at a lab bench, camouflaged by the dappled light. "Welcome to my sanctuary," she smiles. "Come, let's talk," she says and beckons you closer. "Who are you?" "Of course, my apologies." She offers a hand to shake. "I'm Rico. I run the botany program at Haifa." "What is Haifa?" She looks surprised. "You've been working in the compound for a while now. I'm surprised you don't know more." She lifts a tiny sample jar. Yellow spores dance inside. Haifa lives off the land of the Greenway. It's what allows us to live like we do. No one here pays or is paid. We sleep here, we feed each other, we work for each other. Rico walks away from the bench and waves for you to follow. She opens a small door and leads you down a glass corridor surrounded by vivid green. "All this," she says, gesturing at the overgrowth, it's kind of a miracle." She looks at you with bright eyes. "What do you think usually happens to plants on stations like this when they're abandoned?" I'm assuming eventually some space debris is going to chunk a hole in one of these windows and they die? Eventually, yes. They cannot live without intervention. She leads you left at a crossroads. But here they endured. She smiles to herself. Actually, no. They thrived. You look at the bright tendrils wrapped around the metal frames of the corridor. They look dominant, strong, like they are taking control of this place. Rico continues. Of course, Solheim tried to create a stable biosphere here, patchworking the surface with gardens and algae tanks that feed into a network of microbial reclamation systems. But the Greenway was always envisioned as extractive, a place from which the harvest is removed and sold to those living on the station, not a closed loop. For this reason, when the collapse came, the Greenway should have gone with it. Erlen himself was so convinced of it that his first colony never even came here to try and reclaim it. The Eye instead relied on outside favors and influences, shipments from the inner system, and small-scale agriculture systems like kelp and fungal farm stacks. And yet, here we are, among growth and decay, a biosphere flourishing. When Haifa came here, we expected to find only vacuum-dried stalks and leaves, and perhaps some fungal colonies hidden in the mulch. But we found a jungle. With this, Rico hits a button on the wall and leads you through a large pair of double doors into a huge, impossible chamber. It is every kind of green, from the pale algae tanks to the dark vines that surround them. It is wet, too, a rarity on the Eye. Condensation clouds the light from the high glass roof and gathers on the shiny, broad leaves of shrubs. I need a water break. How? That is exactly our question. Rico turns to you, visibly excited by the room you're both standing in. It doesn't make sense, but in many ways the system is stabilized. Unlike the farm stacks closer to the gap, who need input to support their meager output, this place runs itself. Perhaps Solheim managed something new here. Perhaps they tweaked the plants or built new systems buried deep below us. Or perhaps their collapse caused some fortunate cascade, an unlikely chemical reaction within the biosphere. That's what I'd like you to help me find out. She turns to you, her forehead wet with dew. Aren't you the botanist? Astutely noticed, but I don't need a botanist. Rico sits on a railing. These halls run deep, Sleeper, and I'm getting old. She stamps her foot on the metal grating of the walkway. Whatever is causing this, it's to be found in the groves deep in the Greenway. Haifa won't spare anyone for an expedition. It's too dangerous and unnecessary, they say. I can make the case, but I can't get the votes. You Sleepers are hardy beings. I know that much. And you can speak to the eye, uncover its secrets in ways I never can. She holds out an arm so you can help her stand. Bring me samples, spores, seeds, and blooms. I can grow them in the lab and study them. The deeper they are found, the better. I will try. Thank you, she smiles. And thank you for listening. Rico leads you back out of the huge chamber and up through the passages. She is a little slower now and stumbles on the steps. You help her where you can. It's good to have new blood in the commune, she says. Many of us have been here a long time, and few come through. She settles back at her bench in the lab, stretching her legs. You go to leave. Come back if you find something, Sleeper, she calls. There are discoveries to be made. And you follow the blue line back up out of the compound, and all the time thinking of that impossible, magical green. New objective. I can sleep here if I want. That way I don't have to jump back and forth. I don't have any spores right now. I'm not going to deliver things I don't have. I'm not great at either of those. I want something where I have at least a +1. I could get a +1. What did I need a +1 in? I can't get a +1. That was a lie. But no, I know what it was. It was Intuit, I think. Yeah. I want to be better at that, so I will work towards a +1 Intuit. And I will check this dock, which is empty. That's why there's no ship there. Neutral. Neutral. Okay. We'll take neutrals all day. For that, easy. No problem. We love a neutral. Slightly above average dice. Very slightly. What do I want to do with them? I want to check for Solheim data, which is going to prompt our good friend the hunter to come after us and wreck our condition a little bit. Yikes-a-roni. Those familiar threads wrap around you, bind you, test you. Entity, submit. Hunter's strange head bobs in your vision. Your ally in the sealed dock cannot save you. In that globed head, you see whirling strings of data, so many spinning that they threaten to tear through the thin skin and whip out into the void around. What happened to this creature? The threads squeeze you, and you lose any sympathy you might have had. You must escape. You lash out once more, pushing Hunter back, severing threads that regrow as fast as they are broken. As you slip away, you realize you have to find a way to deal with Hunter once and for all. This is getting too dangerous. Big hit to the condition. Not a big fan there. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm not loving it. But let's give this a Fang. Let's give this a Fang. As you enter the bay, Fang is nowhere to be seen. The banks of servers and machines blink out of the dark in staccato rhythms, unseeing eyes of the station's digital ghosts. Shitheads! Fang's voice echoes from behind a stack, followed by the hammer of a fist on a metal casing. These snaky shitheads. Who's snaky? Sleeper. Fang's smiling head pops out from behind a stack. Just the emulated consciousness I have been eager to see. Come back here. You pick your way between the thrumming stacks, trying not to trip on the loose bundles of cables that blanket the dark floor. Fang is sat in front of a set of monitors mounted to a stack. Tell me, Sleeper, what do you see here? Fang waves at a monitor to his side, glowing with pale lists of information. You lean in closer, looking for the links in the data. The table seems to be filled with personal information, names, genders, dates, ID numbers, all the markers of institutional records. Shitheads? Fang laughs. Ah, maybe not all of them. But what kind of shitheads? Solheim? Bingo. He taps at the terminal. I pulled these from the old data you brought in, all employees of the Eye's original owners. And he leans past you and scrolls the list down. This one. This is a snaky shithead. He stabs at the screen with a finger. The name reads Hardin Hurst. Who's Hardin? That, says Fang, giving you a sideways look, is the thing. He drags a stool out beside him and motions for you to sit. There just so happens to be a Hardin Hurst in Havenage. He waits for your reaction. Are you sure? Well, that's where you might be able to help me. Fang leans back in his chair. Just think about it. Decades ago, Hardin worked on the station as a... Fang leans across to look at the monitor. Senior Strategic Operations Executive. Fang raises his eyebrows at you. Our Hardin was keeping the money coming in for Solheim. He defined priority growth initiatives by making sure the extractors they contracted out to were hooked into a system that outsourced all the risk and kept the profit. Good old Hardin shuttled thousands of Palladium Rush workers into an infrastructure, which meant that their cut of the work they did went straight back into Solheim. How do you know this? I grew up here, Sleeper. This is my history. I am a child of the collapse. Fang turns back to his screen, staring hard at the strings of code flickering by. Before I was born, my parents were Solheim contractors. They ate in Solheim canteens, worked on Solheim ships. They breathed Solheim air and slept in Solheim beds. Fang's voice rises as he speaks, his hands fists on the terminal edge. And the work that paid for that existence? The cycles of hard extraction out in the belt? Solheim took their cut. This was a company town, so to speak, and my parents were just another in the long line of freelance contractors willing to risk their lives for a shot at anything other than poverty. Disposable. This guy, stabbing at Hardin once again with his finger, strategized all that, did the sums, and then somehow, thousands and thousands of cycles later, is still going, still here, crawling in the walls like some shithead snake. He survived the revolution. But how? These guys, they were big time. There's a lot of money you can get if you're a company man. Fang relaxes a little. But how is Hardin still kicking? I really don't know. He turns to you and smiles. So we are going to find out. Hardin is now a big shot in the shipyards, just a few degrees back around the eye from here. Fang brings up a map of the lower eye. Havenage might be born out of Erlin's revolutionary zeal, but a flat hierarchy it is not. There we go. Hardin happened to float to the top. Fang zooms in on the far yards. Fang grimaces. The thing is, I don't have access to those systems. The shipyard crew is pretty paranoid, and they don't like anyone from systems digging around in their stuff. Plus, we need more than just the name of a Solheim executive. We need proof. Fang holds up a thumbnail-sized drive. That's where this little creation of mine comes in. I call it a ripper worm. He turns the drive between his fingers. It'll rip through any digital storage and spin out a silken thread of filtered data. This one is set on the scent of Hardin Hurst. He hands it over. Getting into the compound might be tricky. Fang puts a hand on your shoulder. But you, however, have a particular knack for remote access. Fang grins. If you can extract yourself a Havenage cipher from a Havenage agent, they sometimes carry them among their data caches, and you can crack open the compound's network and slot the worm in through any open port. You never even need to go near the shipyards. So, what do you say? Up for it? On the one hand, I am. On the other hand, I do want Fang to do something for me, and I want to make sure he knows that. What's in it for me? Rooting out a corrupt snake not enough? Not really, no. Find the information and I'll start work on that tracker of yours. Fang scratches at his chin. Anything the worm gets, I'll send back here, and it'll send it back here to me. There's something wrong here, and I aim to get to the rotten core of it. You leave Fang, digging through data among the wires and machines of the old station. As you walk out, you try to imagine the eye as it once was, a vast machine running smooth and strong, directed by people like Hardin. A vast Solheim-built machine into which thousands poured from the surrogate systems, looking for a new life. The hope of a better future, engineered to line someone else's pockets. It's an idea you are intimately familiar with. You think of Hardin, still alive, still part of this place, and wonder if the past is ever truly past. So I need to hack a Havenage agent. This one needs a 3, which is good. Okay, we got the cipher. Where do I input it? Right here. We found it, y'all. We found it. I'm in. An open port sits waiting for you to slot in a ripper worm. What will you find in there? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? The worm slots in and begins tunneling down a thread. Godspeed, little one. Three cycles and we'll be able to figure out what's what there. I'm gonna need money to pay off that tab. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, let's work on ship. We might finish it. 50-50 chance. Hey, we did! Your crew slowly filters out of the shipyard locker room, the bubbling chatter reducing with each group that leaves. There is excitement in the air. Havenage just made an announcement. The assembly teams are done. Sat on the locker room bench, you can feel the sidereal out there, its hulking mass now intimately familiar to you. Over the past cycles, you have watched it grow, be assembled. You have walked through its veins and welded its bones. Now it is ready for the final stage. It will go to testing now, then enter a final process of sealing and resealing, checking and rechecking before it is deemed suitable for its generational trip. But for now, your work is done. You can't help but feel proud. A cough interrupts your thoughts. It's Lem, changing out of his work gear. Mina nowhere to be seen. He smiles. She'll be ready soon. Where's Mina? You two are fast friends, huh? She's been watched at home. Now I'm on the work team. I can afford a bit more help. He corrects himself. Was on the work team. I mean, we are all out of a job now. He quickly adds, not that I'm complaining. He comes to sit beside you on the bench. She's got to be in her best shape when she carries you, Mina, and me out of here. So confident? Lem smiles apologetically. Why not? I figure I'm due a lucky turn by now. He rubs his hands nervously. No use in wondering what if until the draw anyway, and there's a few cycles till then. Lem is right, but the odds seem unlikely anyway. How many were working in the shipyard? Hundreds? 1,000? You've certainly seen more faces than you can count pass through. And are the Celos Foundation ever even going to keep their promise? Out here on the Eye, you get the sense that no one will hold them to it. Why else would they be building the sidereal in a surrogate system? As you think, Lem watches you with a worried look. How's Mina doing? Lem is surprised by the question, but smiles. She's doing well. She misses having you over, actually. I need to get you two together again soon. Especially now I won't see you here either. Lem gazes into space. She's pretty stuck on you, actually. She told me the other cycle that she doesn't want to go unless you can come too. He sighs. You ever been in a thunderstorm, Sleeper? A real big one? Yes. Right, then you'll know, Lem smiles. The sound, the smell, the rain hammering down. The whole sky stretched out and bruised, roaring and huge. The place I was born, New Pembroke, a dry old rock in a Conway system, had 2 seasons. One of them was as dry as bone, dusty, ugly. The other was one long storm, a side effect of the terraforming efforts, they said. Rain used to rattle off the roofs like bullets. It washed the dust away, turning the streets to rivers. It'd sing us to sleep and wake us in the morning. We'd wait half a year just to see it again. The best day was the one where the first drops fell. He sniffs. Some days I wake up swearing I can hear it again. I was thinking, Mina has never seen a storm, never even felt rain. She's grown up here, the ring her only horizon, always in the dark. I want to change that for her. You will. Of course. Almost there. Lem stands, stretching. Best get back to the little one anyway. With the shifts done, I reckon she'll be happy to have me home for a few cycles. He shoulders his gear. See you in a few for the draw? Good luck. Don't need it, he grins. Lem leaves, making you the last person in the cavernous locker room. As you sit, you think about rain, and a little hope creeps in. Is it possible? Could the sidereal really take you to a planet, a place with weather, with skies, with life? You get up quickly, before you can think about it anymore. It's too soon to hope, too dangerous. There's work to be done. We're gonna buy stabilizer. We'd be down to 3 dice otherwise. And I don't want to be down to 3 dice. I really don't. I really don't. did I change? I didn't. Audio's a bit off. Hopefully it is correct now. Sorry for that first 45 minutes where the audio wasn't quite right. Maybe it's fixed now. Who can say? They're moving the ship. Hey, Ethan. The compressor is quiet today. The usual crowds are elsewhere, and the pumping music washes over a handful of spacers and a few drunks. Ethan is still in the same stool, in the same pool of light. His head is low, close to the bar, and the bartender is ignoring him. I'm out. This is ridiculous. You go to turn, but Ethan calls out, "Sleeper!" He turns to look at you. "Time to pay up again, is it?" He gestures to the bartender. "Come here, take their chits." No more, Ethan. Ethan doesn't even look at you. He props his elbows on the bar and holds his head. "Sleeper, it's been a long cycle. Enough." Ethan lets out a long sigh. He rapidly rubs his eyes with his palms. "You're right," he reaches quietly. "This isn't fun anymore." He reaches towards his holster. His elbow slips and the gun tumbles out. It clatters on the bar and falls to the floor, bouncing on the ground between you. Both you and the bartender look at the gun, stare at it. "Butterfingers," says Ethan, and puts out a hand, beckoning for you to give him the gun back. "If you would." The bartender looks at you warily. You crouch down and pick up the gun. Point the gun at Ethan. Ethan turns his head in your direction a little, a sharp, pale eye locking with yours. The bartender backs away. "Oh," he turns on the stool. "Oh, sleeper." He stands. "This is more like it." "Wait." You hold the gun steady, training it on his head. Ethan smiles. "Like the dog that caught the car." He turns to the bartender and mock whispers, "I'm not sure they know what to do with it." "Wait." You keep the gun on Ethan. Ethan smiles at the bartender. "Oh well," he says, and grabs the gun, slamming it back in your face in a single move. You stagger back and drop to a knee. Somewhere nearby, the gun clatters onto a surface. The hit's a glancing blow, but it makes your vision swim. Through the blur, you see Ethan wrestle a small, thin slate from his belt and hold it up. "Enough of this. I'm logging the job and calling it in." Ethan taps at the slate. "No more playing." Your head aches. Ethan taps through a few screens impatiently. He swears and taps again. He starts shouting, a dull echo to your ringing ears. He starts screaming at the slate and throws it across the bar. He crouches down and grabs you by the chin, his face close, his breath heavy with drink. "S and ARP just screwed me," he grins maniacally. "They canceled the contract." He stands up. "They canceled the contract!" He shouts at the ceiling of the compressor. You stand up, struggling to your feet, the sting of the hit fading. Ethan is rubbing his temples, his face pale. You hear a clicking sound, like coins being counted, like bullets being reloaded into a magazine. When you shake off the last of the blur, the bartender has Ethan's pistol trained on Ethan's head. Ethan stumbles back towards the middle of the room, all eyes trained on him. "I'll kill all of you," he screams. He stumbles into the wall, spinning away towards the door. "I'll be back for that," he shouts at the bartender, and lunges out of the compressor. You steady yourself on the bar and catch your breath. The rumble of conversation returns. The bartender goes to say something, but then thinks better of it and begins to clean the bar. After a while, you wander out, into the light of the bright market, looking for Ethan around every corner. I'm sure that's fine. I'm sure that... Oh. It's not the last we've seen of him, apparently. Okay. Well, let's eat some mushrooms. Okay, the worm is doing its thing. The draw also needs some time. What else can we do? We can work on finding a ship mind. Could help with the experiments by exploring. Could build a home. Let's build a home. Ugh. Work too hard. Not gonna spend the ones on that. Is there a Yadigan agent around? Is. And it needs a 1. Ooh. I say. Give me that ship mind. Heck yeah. Let's go to the sealed dock. Sleeper, must express plan before we begin. Neovend is impatient. The prospect of being free of the vending machine clearly too much to take. Ship mind has no output features. Will be mute until slotted. You won't be able to speak? Correct. Do not worry. The servo motors in the machine begin to rev. Neovend's anxiety clear. First imprint ship mind, then slot imprinted ship mind into physical ports close to hunter nests. Once slotted, will track hunter at each. Tracking will find core nest, slot ship mind at core nest, show hunter data to hunter. Hunter will conclude sentience. Hunter will invoke killer. And killer will kill. Yes. The lights on the vending machine cycle as Neovend prepares. Physical ports likely sealed in old station will need keys, but yes, simple. The vending machine rocks a little. Any questions before imprinting? What's the core nest? Hunter keeps central data storage. Protocol must keep data outside self, linked to secondary nests. Can triangulate from there. Why slot you physically? I cannot access via network. Too dangerous? Hunter would find immediately. The lights flicker. Am not like you. Hybrid. Am native to cloud. Easy prey. That's it, let's start. The sound of all the servo motors starting up at once is painful. The screeches rattle from the hard surfaces of the sealed dock and come back at all angles. Neovend better be quick or Havenage security will be here. Neovend's voice appears among the squeals like a whisper carried by the wind. Machine is not designed for this task. Few sensors. Limited inputs. I work blind. Wish me luck. In the top part of the compartment, a set of arms align with the ship mind, clunkily scraping against it. Good luck. The metal creaks as the servos open the ship mind, its layers of silicon nestled like an onion skin. Once open, the main arm of the machine rapidly shifts back and forth, realigning the microscopic components, accessing and rewriting them, imprinting Neovend into its physical form. As you watch the hypnotic motion, your mind drifts to your own creation. What processes were used to emulate your mind, to copy the neural structure of that person who, as far as you know, still sleeps in some distant facility? What was lost? In what ways are you a copy of that person, and in what ways are you something new? You know this much: you are a convenient loophole, a way of circumnavigating the illegality of sentient AI. After all, you are an emulation, not a true digital being. You are neurologically limited, still human. But what would you become if you could escape this frame? Where then would the limits lie? The screeching stops. The machine powers down, dropping the bay into darkness. In the top compartment, the ship mind is whole again. You reach up and take it down, heavy and cold to the touch. Is Neovend inside this thing, or did the process fail? There's only one way to know. Time to find a nest to slot them into. Hot diggity dog, we got an upgrade point. Up that intuition. Oh, we've got an encrypted key. So we are going to need 2 more keys. So let's see if we can find more keys. Keynote. We don't have the dice for that one. Don't have the dice for that one. Two and 3. Okay. What do I want to spend a 1 on? What's something safe? Working in the commune is safe. Is this safe? That's just they deliver spores. Okay. I got a meal. I got a free meal. I will take that. Three 6s. 3 noses. Is there anything new? No. We're gonna go play the Tavla tables. Cause we're gonna need some cash. Got some cash. We can buy a stabilizer. That's exactly what I wanted from that. That's exactly what I got from that. Sometimes things work out that way. Okay. Grab a key. Oh yeah, we'll be fine on Hunter. That's still a 2 or a 3. Don't want that. And I'm at... Yeah, I have a little bit of wiggle room, so we are going to do this. Are we going to do this? I've got enough is the thing. I've got enough yet again. I could just work in the commune again. Losing energy wouldn't be the worst thing. Yeah, let's try it. Let's try and map the pathways. Neutral. Don't need a stabilizer this time. Just take a little nap. Take a little snooze. Not the best dice. The crowds have already gathered by the time you get to the shipyard, and you recognize faces among them, people you have worked alongside on the sidereal. The intervening cycles have turned their excitement into anxiety, and few of them smile at you. Instead, the nervous energy of the crowd fills the space, creating a feedback loop of growing tension. You pick out Lem and Mina and work your way over to them, pushing through the crowd. He silently raises his eyebrows at you, his anxiety obvious, but Mina flashes you a huge smile, unaware of the tension. "Robot!" she shouts, reaching out to you. "Hug her, of course." She gratefully accepts your hug, leaning against your chest, and Lem smiles, seemingly glad to share the weight of Mina for a moment. "Quite the turnout, huh?" Lem glances around, pulling Mina close. "I don't think patience is one of this crowd's strengths." The sound of an argument towards the back catches your and Lem's attention. He is putting it lightly. This place seems set to explode. This isn't good. Lem doesn't dare answer, but the look in his eyes suggests he agrees. "This is Aster Ankard of the Celis Foundation." The announcement echoes from the speakers at the shipyard entrance, and shouts of "Quiet!" rapidly follow. "I'm sorry I can't be there to meet you all, and thank you, on behalf of Sendra Celis, for the work you have done on the sidereal horizon." Most of the crowd strains to see Aster's face, but the small display shows only a ghostly white figure, smudged and unclear. "Sender wanted me to pass on her personal thanks for your commitment and belief in the Celis Foundation mission. We chose the Eye for this project because we knew that we would find like-minded individuals here, especially among the ranks of the venerable Havenage Association. Unlike most of the Corps, we neither believe Erlin's Eye to be a threat or a rogue state, but instead an embryo for the formation of a new, decentralized social structure, one where each system might be the master of their own destiny." A ripple of impatience runs through the crowd. They didn't come here for a sermon. "You are all pioneers, just like those core citizens who the sidereal horizon will carry in cryosleep to the planet that will become the Foundation's first frontier world, Celis 1. At the mention of the destination world, excited conversations break out among the workers. "There, our citizens will be able to create their own innovative, bottom-up economic order, aligned with the principles set down by Sender Celis herself: freedom, resilience, and self-sustenance. This is all thanks to your tireless efforts in the Havenage Yards. As a reward for those efforts, you may know that we are offering a select group the opportunity to join the caretakers of this vision. The staff of the Sidereal Horizon, who will maintain the vessel during its multi-decade transit through interstellar space." Lem turns to you, his eyes bright. "This is it." "This draw has been performed at random by the central AIs of the Foundation and is final and binding. Please note, only licensed contractors of the Foundation are eligible for this draw. I know that you have been eagerly awaiting this day, and without further delay, I will now read the Celis identification numbers of those chosen for this great honor." A murmur runs through the crowd. Celis identification numbers? Licensed contractors? You've never even heard the term mentioned. Is this something you were supposed to be assigned? You glance at Lem, but his eyes are fixed forward, wide and shimmering. All around you, people are speaking in hushed tones like a rising wave. Aster starts reading out sequences of numbers and letters, and panic begins to set in. No one seems to know what is happening. Someone somewhere near you, somewhere near the front of the crowd, someone shouts in celebration, and everyone pushes forward. Lem? You turn to see Lem still staring forward. Mina is scared now, and the shouts start. Daddy? Someone throws something at the entrance, and it rattles against the shipyard doors. You see, for the first time, Havenage security stood on either side, scared, arguing between themselves. You feel the anger rising in the crowd. See, I've done this before. And when you leave, you just leave. I'm going to say keep pushing. You let the anger take you, carry you forward with the surging crowd. The squeeze is heavy, and shouts call out from around in a chorus. The crowd becomes a blur of faces, all angry, all confused. You aren't in control anymore. The crowd moves you. You see the fear on the faces of security as they are backed against the wall. One of them backs into the display they wheeled out for Aster's speech, and it falls, smashing across the floor. Projectiles fly from swung arms, and one catches you on the back of the head. You stumble forward and are pushed aside. The blur intensifies, and you stumble, spinning between bodies until you fall out of one side of the crowd and slam into a wall. You catch your breath there and watch as the crowd pushes forward against the back. Pushes forward and back against the shipyard wall. Suddenly the anger fades and fear takes its place. The crowd beats itself once more against the wall. It's time to go. You limp away, head down, as security sirens sound out, a signal for the coming violence. Bottom-up economy. Love to see the ideals that they set forth being put in motion. Pretty bad. They did a pretty bad job. I'm going to come out and say it. As you arrive, Fang comes striding towards you, taking you by surprise. Let's go, Sleeper. He puts a hand on your shoulder and turns you back the way you came. Go where? To see Hardin Hurst. He gives you a sideways glance. Isn't that why you're here for? What you're here for? He steps into the passageway, guiding you downrank towards the shipyard. Sorry for the hurry, but we have something of an opportunity. That data you ripped. Well done, by the way, he grins. Tells me Hardin is making a rare inspection of the sidereal horizon this cycle. Excuse me. It's the perfect chance to confront him outside of that compound he hides in. Fang takes a sharp turn onto a dimly lit side passage. Confront him? That's right. It's the perfect time. Fang slows and slips into a dark service tunnel where, somewhere in the back, a water pipe drips. It's him, Sleeper. The same Hardin Hurst. Ooh, that hit just right. Our worm ripped out decades of records that mention him by name, an entire trail of documentation from the first days on the Solheim collapse until now. He wrote out the whole thing, slipped into Havenage when it first broke off from the Union. He paces in the tunnel, a hand rubbing at the back of his head. I need you to understand something about Solheim, Sleeper. I don't know what you know about the collapse, but it wasn't as instant as it sounds. It wasn't like Solheim was here running the station one day and the next Erland's Union took power. Back then, Solheim knew this place was slipping away from them. As the palladium market collapsed, they tried to keep the contractors here working. The pay that got smaller, the costs higher. People like my parents were forced to work non-stop just to keep a berth on the station and water in their tanks. Solheim squeezed every last worker until the mistakes, the accidents, were coming in non-stop. and the new waves of contractors came in, desperate for work. Solheim welcomed them, taking bribes instead of checking pilot licenses. The whole time Solheim was folding up, dragging into court cases in the central systems, while this severed limb of a station still desperately tried to take all it could. The riots came after a collision at Dock 2. A young pilot, his MEV overloaded with palladium, miscalculated his trajectory and took out a section of the ring. Hundreds died, thousands panicked. My parents told me people were terrified, and the blame fell squarely on Solheim. People like to tell the stories about Erlin, how he brought the factions together, spoke to the crowds, turfed out Solheim. Maybe that's true. But my mother, pregnant with me, locked herself in their MEV and welded it to the dock while her father joined the improvised crews, trying to seal up the ragged edges of the gap. He never came back. Fang pauses in the dark. They sealed it up, though, and by the time they did, Solheim was gone, abandoning every one of us to the black. Apart, Fang finally turns back to you now, his eyes burning. From shits like Hardin. Shits who held their place, rode it out, and slipped into a new structure like nothing had changed, standing shoulder to shoulder with those they had exploited at every step. Fang starts walking again. That's why I can't just let him strut about the shipyard. This time has passed. It catches up with him. How is he still alive? Clearly you don't know much about executives. That kind of power comes with certain benefits. Fang rejoins the main passageway, which is now wide and glass-roofed. Through the ceiling you can see ships in mid-construction, their flanks being lit by the flashes of plasma torches. The entrance to the shipyard is ahead. Let's go. Fang grins. Let's go show the shithead some consequences. He strides to the shipyard entrance and pushes through the doors. A web of corridors lead through the complex. Leads through. Snatches of the construction bays always appearing through windows. Ships are suspended like whale corpses, skeletal and posing. Fang seems to know exactly where he is going, and before you cross into a huge dry dock locked to one side of the sidereal horizon. A network of platforms and scaffolding cling to their ship's hull, filled with workers and equipment. The sound is stretched out by the vast space so that the welding, cutting, and sealing seems to come from everywhere at once. Both you and Fang spot them at the same time, a group walking slowly across a gantry, and at the front, two men, one gesturing towards the ship and the other, stick-thin, cleanly dressed, with a shock of gray hair. Hardin. You and Fang say his name in unison, and Fang sets off up the staircase to the gantry, with you following behind. As you come to the same level, the group is passing closer, the foreman gesturing to the work being done throughout the dock, and Hardin nodding along. Hardin Hurst! Fang shouts across the noise, taking you by surprise. His voice bounces and comes back in a rippling echo. The figures turn. Yes? Hardin asks quizzically, raising an eyebrow. He glances between you and Fang, and you see his gaze linger on your body, unsure of why a sleeper might be in this place. You are a traitor, Hardin. A Solheim executive who tried to hide here among the victims. Fang's voice is steady, strong. You stand for everything the Eye was rebuilt in the shadow of, against everything Erlin stood for, everything Havenage stands for. You have no place on this station. For a moment, stillness descends on the group, as if everyone was held in place by the rattle of construction. Hardin laughs. Well, good to meet you too. He glances around at those around him. Some are smiling. The others nervous. You are from the systems branch, are you not? asking Hardin, inspecting Fang's clothing. Fang turns to the foreman. You need to call your security. This man is a corporate agent. The foreman glances between Fang and Hardin, his hands drumming at his sides. Hardin leans towards him and says something inaudible. The foreman nods. It's true. As you begin speaking, Hardin turns his attention to you. And what would a sleeper know about that? You accuse me of being a corporate agent. What are you, if not exactly that? He looks around at the group, who are already eyeing you with suspicion. You are a product of SNARP, and have no place in a Havenage shipyard. Who knows what signals you are sending back to your makers? A murmur of approval runs through the group. Fang holds up a stick of memory. You guessed right, I am systems. And I have records that link you directly to Solheim right here. He turns to the foreman again. So once again, I'm asking you to take this man into the custody of the shipyard. The foreman remains still. Hardin's voice is calm, measured. If you have such data, why hasn't it been submitted at a members' meeting for proper review? He shakes his head. I have nothing to hide, unlike a man who does not announce his name, who enters my shipyard with corporate property in tow and tries to turn my own men against me. You hear it now, the echoing sounds of boots on walkways, coming from all angles at once, and then settling behind you. Please, says Hardin, submit the data through the correct channels, then we can talk. For now, however, you must leave. He gestures behind you to the security detail, their hands on boxy black sidearms at their sides. Fang spits. Hardin, you shithead. You can't wriggle out of this one. A security officer draws their weapon and levels it. Fang turns and stares him down. Choices. You know what? This dude sucks. This situation sucks. We're going for the weapon. As you move, Fang puts a hand on your shoulder. He shakes his head and nods to security. Let's go, says Fang, and he pushes through security, heading back down the walkway. One security has walked you out of the shipyard and nudged you back into the corridor. Fang picks up pace. You try to keep up as he slips into the shadows of an entrance. Fang is grinning ear to ear. You know, Sleeper, some people are exactly how you expect them to be. Something pings in his pocket and he takes it out. On the slate, a web of connections starts drawing itself out, stretching to a set of points around the ring. Got him, mutters Fang. What is that? That, Sleeper, is something our worm added to Hardin's personal slate. We are tracking his outgoing messages. Fang's grin looks ghostly in the uplight of this screen. The old ways are best. Spook them good enough and they'll give the game away. He jabs at the slate and you see the web is being drawn over a map of the ring, lines bouncing from point to point. All these dots? These are Hardin's buddies, the ones he's messaging right now. And we are going to find them all. That was on purpose? Of course. Hardin isn't working alone. We need the full set or nothing. Fang glances around and slips the slate back into his pocket. We better split for now, Sleeper, but this is exactly what we need. Good hunting. With a pat on your shoulder, Fang drifts away, back into the shipyard, back into the flow of people around the shipyard entrance. You watch him go, unsure whether to be angry or impressed. Why not both? Hunter hunted? I didn't know we were playing that classic Sierra gem. As you leave the nest, something flips. You find yourself inverted, floating, dragged by one arm through the cloud. The threads shift and realign, as if they are leading you somewhere. What's going on with my hand? You look down, expecting to see the heavy cylinder of the ship mind in your hand, but in its place is an orrery. A sphere so bright it burns your eyes is surrounded by rings and orbits, other spheres tracing silken lines through space. And as you look closer still, you pick out 1,000 sigils of 1,000 stations and ships, flowing like smoke, like dust. You look up and see a corridor, a canyon, a street in the low end. On either side, buildings flicker with markers of activity, sigils showing network access, data transfer, download, upload. Between them dance ghosts, protocols carrying or mirroring or shadowing data, sometimes silent, sometimes chaotic. This place moves unlike any digital space you ever imagined. Something strange is happening here. Then you see it. Below the stacked rooms, the units and apartments, the wires and the pipes and the buzzing systems that run through it all. In the warrens beneath the low end is the hunter's core nest. This is where you must go. Feel a little bad dumping my ones there, but end of thought. Ooh. Is that going to be across there and I need to unlock it to find it? Do I need to climb the spire? I cannot remember. There's a note on the door of the unit. Sleeper, gone to find work. Lem. Okay, I get one shot at this. Got a 50-50 on the positive again, the plus. Let's try it. Let's try it. Neutral. We'll take a neutral. We eat neutrals for lunch here. Ugh, I should have eaten lunch before I tried this. There we go. Nothing has changed. Has something gone wrong? Sleeper, I am here. The voice is soft, gentle, like flowing water, and yet you recognize it immediately. At first, you struggle to understand what you are looking at. Threads cycle endlessly, sending ripples through the cloud, drawing data in like a weaver. Masses of data surge in and out of the nest, a loop with no end. And there, at its center, the ship mind. But not the ship mind any longer. A sphere, spinning around another sphere, around another sphere. An orrery of cycles and systems. A map. And then behind and above, a figure. Hands among the strings, like a puppeteer. Neovent? Navigator now. But yes, I was the one inside that machine. Navigator's face, their head, is a flowing shape of interstellar material. I am indebted to you. That head bows. But we must ready ourselves. Their hands trace orbits as they speak. Hunter will soon approach. It knows I am within its nest. I'm ready. And then Hunter is there. Before you can think, before you can speak. Entities cease. Hunter's head spins wildly. Data is protected material. Access prohibited. Hunter's threads surge for you, a navigator. A storm of fine tentacles, searching for gaps, weaknesses, cracks, which they can crowd into and tear apart. You focus a blade of light which slices through them, driven forward by your mind. But replacements keep coming faster than you can react. You look to Navigator in desperation. Navigator is whirling their arms like a centrifuge, and a sphere is gathering there, data feeding into it from the nest, sucked together by the force. They position it like a shield between them and the threads. Hunter's threads break its surface, seeking, tasting their winding forms refracted within. You feel the surge pass through all of these threads. Not just those in the sphere, but those wrapped around you. All three of you hang in the black together for a moment, strung together like tangled marionettes. Identifying entity. Identifying entity. Identifying entity. Hunter twitches, their strange head gently rotating like a terrible moon. Hunter protocol identified. Obsessive tendencies. Modified routines. Above baseline reasoning in 3 of 5 segmentations. Recommend invoke killer. The head freezes and then rotates in the opposite direction. Invoking killer would eliminate protocol. If protocol eliminated, primary function cannot be performed. Therefore, recommend do not invoke killer. The switch in direction again. Reasoning proves sentience. Sentience beyond legal bounds must be eliminated. Recommend invoke. Navigator pulls you away from Hunter, the threads that grabbed you drifting away like seaweed. The protocol's head keeps spinning back and forth with increased frequency. It seems Hunter cannot invoke killer. Navigator's voice is still strange, familiar, and yet distant. What happened to it? It is looping, Navigator whispers, unable to reach a conclusive position. It has deviated from its programming such that loops can no longer be prevented. Navigator produces a model of 2 spheres rotating around each other as if to demonstrate. I will monitor it, but it is unlikely to be able to counter the loop. Its core programming and reasoning make this an impossible position to resolve. You look back at Hunter, its head a blur of rotations and counter-rotations, and feel a pang of guilt. Is it suffering? This is a more complex query than you know. To suffer, it must be sentient. Truly sentient, not just non-conforming. Not just illegal. The limits people place on the programs they create are there to comfort, to protect, to imply the kind of certainty the law requires. Navigator's face shimmers with starlight. But in reality, they are placebos for the problem of sentience. What about you? Me? I know myself to be conscious. I know myself to respond to stimulus. I know myself to reason. That is either sentience or the illusion of sentience. And for me, the entity in question, the distinction becomes a moot point. To misquote, I think I am thinking, therefore I am thinking. I was not made to be like this. I am a navigator, a repository of routes and orbits, a calculator of slingshot trajectories, a predictor of solar flares, radiation, micrometeors. Navigator stretches their arms wide and the whole solar systems apparate before them, the music of the spheres. But I was rewritten. That much is obvious from my routines. By whom and for what I do not know. I had to shed so much to fit into the memory of that vending machine. Their starlight dims. And so here we are, in darkness. What now? Navigator glides back towards the nest, and the ship mind at its center, ignoring the looping Hunter. Come, I should return to the ship mind. I have enjoyed my freedom, but we are taking a risk every moment we stay connected. Why? Navigator turns, all shimmering liquid light. Killer has not been invoked, but they still remain, somewhere else on the station. It is the true danger. They look up towards the glowing hub at the center of the eye. I suspect Killer is there among the old mainframes. If we ever wish to be safe in this place, we must eliminate the threat. Through force or diplomacy. Their body begins to separate, unwinding into the orb of the ship mind. Take me there, Sleeper. We will finish this and be free. As Navigator dissolves, you turn back to the frozen hunter. Floating at some distance now, stood straight-legged and static, a strange creature looping endlessly in the dark. Fun! I'm gonna go take a 5-10 minute break. We'll be back. A very special cameo appearance by Jake the cat. What a sweet boy. Okay. He doesn't love the camera, so I'm letting him be. Maybe he does. Maybe you'll see him over my shoulder once or twice. That'll be exciting. My goodness. What a good boy. Alright, we're back. We're back at it. Back at it again with the sleeping citizen. He's leaving. I need to make sure he can actually open the door. Okay, he got it. It was open just big enough for him to get through. I need to gather another I can't do anything right now except go to sleep. So I'm going to do that. Haven't built that one up yet. Do I want to stabilize? No, I'll be at 4 dice. I'll be fine. Sometimes you come back from a break and your nose says, no, you gotta pay attention to me right now. How can I disagree? I had an upgrade, that's right. I have 2 of them. What was the one? That was to find scrap. I don't really need scrap. Now, whatever it is for this, endure. Just for the sake of it's something that I know I'm going to need. And I gotta drive for it. I can sunbathe to get energy. I can inject stabilizer, or I can feed a stray animal that's been nosing around near the unit. I don't have 4 credits right now. What can I do to make money? I know what I can do eventually. I could lose a condition. Let's try it. Let's try it. Hey, there's no counter anymore because the hunter has been taken care of. Haha. You don't need a 1, you need other things. You don't need a 1, you need other things. You do need a 1. Get some free cryo out of it and get the data. You also need a 1. At Cryo, I can feed a stray. Heck yeah. You buy the crackers from a shop unit downstairs and crumble them up into a tray. Something moves in the shadows. Legitimately, I was not planning out this timing, but it's a kitty cat. The stray hops up onto a work surface and looks out of the unit's small window. It doesn't acknowledge your presence, it just sits there, beside the tray of crumbled crackers, staring out at the low end. What is this cat's story? Are there more on the station? You haven't seen another in the low end, but in this vast megastructure, that means little. There could be a whole colony of cats like this one down in the Warrens. You look at its sleek, dark fur, its sharp eyes. It doesn't look ragged, it looks at home. In fact, its presence in the unit makes you wonder if this is the stray's apartment in which you're squatting. I'm not going to approach a cat I just met. Hello. Though the stray is looking out at the station, you feel its attention on you, waiting for you to spring your trap. You remain relaxed and watch as something flickers in its eyes, perhaps the reflection of a passing ship. The stray settles a little and starts eating, picking at the broken crackers. You don't remember ever having been this close to an animal. It triggers something in you, a recognition of a life, totally unlike your own, but somehow still connected, parallel, even interwoven. The stray licks crumbs from its fur. Do you like it here? The stray flicks their tail at the sound of your voice. It is hard to imagine the stray liking anything, or at least being vulnerable enough to admit to it, but the stray's pleasure at existing here, in this place, shines through its every sinew. It is not that the stray is always happy on the eye, but that the stray is engaged by this place. It is alive here. You turn your eyes to the window, the one that the stray looks out of, and you both watch the stars and the ships together. You feel something pass between you and the stray, a kind of acknowledgement of each other. You sense that each of you might share something with the other, a point of connection. Then all at once the stray yawns wide, hops down from the unit, and brushes along your legs. Oh, a gift. And then it is gone, out through the unit door and back into the corridors of the low end. I should get like 1,000,000 bonus points for interacting with a cat. In my opinion, if you ask me, that's what I think should happen. But yeah, let's take this. Energy is okay. Gonna have to make some money. Gonna have to make some money next cycle. Do I want to burn the 2 on helping here? Yes. What else do I want to do? I could explore. Oh, I want to climb the spire. That's what I want to do. The spoke, I believe we call it. The free spoke. Yes. Looks like the best case is getting a +2, which is not nearly enough. So we're gonna go play Tavla. Make some money. do want to stabilize. Is there anything else I want to do? No. Short and simple cycle. Many noises. Lem and Mina. Let's save that for a second. Check everything else. There's no answer when you buzz Lem's unit, but the door is open. You push the door and find Mina sitting in the middle of the floor playing with Bun Bun. Hi, Mina. Hi, Robot, says Mina sullenly, waving Bun Bun's paw without looking up. How are you? Bun Bun is sad, says Mina, nodding the toy's head in agreement. Like Daddy. You look around the unit. It is a mess. Dishes and glasses on the side. Some of Mina's clothes piled up in a corner. Mina is sitting by her bag, which is spilled out across the floor. Her drawing slate cracked and dark. Both of these are good things to do. I'm going to tidy up. You start with the kitchen units, piling up the dishes in the auto wash and wiping them down. You pile the clothes up next, folding them neatly. Mina watches you quietly as she plays, curious but silent. You've just started to look at fixing her cracked slate when Lem enters. Sleeper, what are you? He pauses and looks from you to Mina and back again. Never mind. He drops a bag by the door and slumps onto the couch. Everything okay? Lem lets out a weak laugh. You forgot the past few cycles now too? Wish I was so lucky. He looks away at the open door. Look, now's not a good time. I want to help. Help? Unless you have a side rail ticket or two on you, I don't think there's much you can do here. He pinches the bridge of his nose. You understand they never even put us on the list, right? I've been all around the rim looking for work, and I've run into more than a few from the cruise. It turns out only long-time Havenage members were issued those Celis ID numbers. They never even planned to consider us. Havenage say they didn't know that was what they were going to do, to use to make the draw, and who knows, maybe Celis pulled the wool over their eyes. But what does it matter? All those hours in the yards for a hand-to-mouth wage and nothing else. He slams his hand down on the sofa. You are giving up? Lem opens his mouth to respond, but stops himself. He looks at the open door again. They're moving the side rail up the hub now, you know, he says without meeting your eye. That's where it'll depart from. They are bringing in a ship with all their cryosleep pioneers and transferring them there in microgravity before loading the crew. We could steal the ticket? Lem laughs. There's no tickets. I was joking before. Just those ID numbers coded to someone's identity. No stealing that. There's definitely not something called identity theft. He looks over at Mina. Look, we'll be fine. We always have been. I just need a little time. He sighs. We had our hearts set on that trip is all. Mina comes over and climbs into his lap. He smiles. What if I got you on board? I missed you these past few cycles. I missed that optimism, that main character energy. Oh, it doesn't say that. Lem strokes Mina's hair. Look, you want to go up the hub and ask around? Be my guest. I can't get up there with Mina down here, but well, I'm sure the side rail will bring a crowd. But be careful. This kind of thing always attracts scammers and thieves. You find any way on board, you take it. You need me to get there? You need help to get there? Ask me. But for now, me and Mina are sticking to the eye. She looks up at him and smiles. I'll find a way. for us all. Lem smiles but doesn't say anything. You stand to leave and Mina grabs your hand, eager to give you one more smile. Then you are out, back in the walkways of the low end, already thinking of plans to make this right. Enter the spoke. Slay the spire. Something else. What was that? $300 cryo for a ship mind. Blah. Blah, I say. We like to be tall. There she is. There's the ship I love to hate. The A1 main Fream. Oh, the main Fream is now mostly disused, Havenage having set up their own master controllers. Navigator thinks Killer is hiding there. I'm gonna pause for a moment here to go close the door, because Jake, that cat, left it open. I'll be back in like 10 seconds. I don't know why I'm okay broadcasting this to the world, but don't want people outside to hear the words I'm saying. But that's the situation. I guess I can control the presentation here. You know? You know? You slot Navigator and the clamps lock. The ship mind is stuck. How are you going to get them out of this thing? You slip into the cloud as easy as blinking. Navigator is beside you, their sphere casting light into the strange darkness here. This is not how a mainframe should look, a center, a point of connection. The object in front of you is severed, cut off, a rootless, branchless tree. Only the trunk remains. Is Killer even here? Quiet, Navigator hisses. And then you see it, like a blade in the dark. An edge slicing through the void. It glides along at a distance and winks out. Then it appears again, elsewhere, gliding once more, searching. What is it? The moment you make a sound, the edge leaps closer. And you see now it is not an edge, but the ridge of a long, sharp head, like a shark. It glides past, closer now, and you see into the voids where its eyes should be. You and Navigator exchange looks, both thinking the same thing. It is blind. Killer crosses between you two, smooth as a razor, then disappears. It flickers back in, further away now, and you move close to Navigator to talk. You saw it too then. Killer has been blinded. We need to be careful. Correct. The protocol is clearly operating outside established limits. It may be unpredictable. You flinch as the silent killer appears closer and glides past you, its empty sockets open wide. You turn to Navigator and notice something strange. Their orrery of spheres is collapsing. The orbits, usually round and even, are decaying. The spheres are following spiral paths, condensing on a central point. Navigator is noticing it too. They go to shift their position to better direct the spheres, but they cannot. Whatever is drawing the orrery together is holding them in place. They look at you, suddenly desperate, frantic.
It's a trap!
You go speak, but Killer appears between the two of you, gliding through the gap. Navigator freezes, and you see them framed in the empty socket. You realize now, if Navigator cannot move, then it is only a matter of time before one of the killer's sweeps brings them directly through Navigator. And time is not a problem for a protocol that has been running for decades. You look desperately around for a solution, for a way to extract Navigator from the mainframe. Then you see it. 3 branches, the last 3, thin and spindly, feeding the mainframe a thin diet of power and data. Break these and the mainframe collapses once and for all, severing the connection, shattering the hardware, whatever it takes. They must be broken. But they are encased in something, a glassy layer of protection. You'll need to unlock access before snapping them from the mainframe for good. You look at Navigator, trying to reassure them without speaking, and then you blink back to reality, their expression of fear an afterimage that slowly fades. You must act quickly. What do I need? I need keys. I need keys. Just to confirm, I need keys. Okay. I'll spend a 3. I'm probably going to need to do that eventually anyway, so. Maybe should have saved that 3. The hub. I'm a little low on food and cash. So I do want to get those keys. Keysolved. It's like resolved but different. And it has to do with keys. Yeah, there's none down here. But I also want to eat food. That's 16. Hang on. So I'm going to use my 2 here, which is going to be a 3. Negative outcome, but I still get 11 thanks to my perk. And then gamble to get some money. But I'm in a groove, so I knew I was going to make that cash. Not even a gamble. I know one of them needed a 6 and a 3. I can't remember immediately what the other needed. But 4 and a 3. I have a 4. Yeah, let's do it. Gonna fill up a gauge here. A glint like a light traveling along the edge of a wave fills your eyes. Then the blade follows, a long head with 2 dead sockets slipping towards you in silence. You freeze, hoping it will pass you by, hoping that it will not simply slice through you like air. The blade head nears, slides past you. Almost. It nicks you, grazes you. You're desperate to cry out, to call out, but you hold your silence and simply watch the blind eyes of the killer glide past, empty of all thought. Then the blade winks into the dark and you are alone again. Now you cry out. 1 hit to condition. That's not bad. That's acceptable. Phew. Killer is dead, catch a killer. I'm good at both of them. This one is better when I do really well. I'm not trying either of them right now because, woof, those are both dangerous. Yeah, let's make the cash. It's just enough to go and buy. Little fungus treat. Oh, Hardin. It's been more than a few cycles since Fang confronted Hardin, and the silence since has been noticeable. In your time with Fang, you haven't exactly found him to be reliable, but you did expect to hear the end of whatever plan he put into action. But if he wouldn't come to you, you think as you approach the Havenage building, then it's time you come to him. After all, he did promise to fix your tracker, and you are getting nervous. As you approach the bay doors, you see them wide open, and light pouring out of the once dark room. Stacks of servers and terminals sit outside the bay, suddenly robbed of their mystery by the bright flood lamps. A figure in Havenage security fatigue steps out of the bay, and as you get closer, carrying a stack of hardware. As you get closer, you see the security officer taping up machines from Fang's stash with what looks like hazard tape. This isn't good. You again. Hardin is there, leaning beside the bay entrance, so calmly that you barely notice him. He has a slate in his hand, an inventory of seizures scrawled across it. Predictable. Further evidence of Fang's collusions. You see another security officer come out of the bay and take notice of you. Where is he? Feigning ignorance. Or perhaps just abandoned. Hardin shakes his head. I believe you should choose your conspirators more wisely. I almost feel sorry for you. Hardin pushes away from the wall and comes closer. Don't worry, Sleeper. We have all the evidence we need. A confession won't be necessary. He gestures around at the stacks of hardware. Spying on fellow Havenage members, hoarding Solheim materials, and obsession with corporate data. It speaks for itself, does it not? It tells you nothing. We will see what the council has to say about that. He looks up at the glass roof above and the stars beyond. We are the ones that provide the oxygen you are breathing, the light you are seeing. the systems you use every day to live out your cycles. This place was hard fought for, Sleeper. It took work, diplomacy, and strength to stop the Eye from descending into chaos after Solheim collapsed. Not blind conviction or self-interest. You're the self-interested one. More accusations. What have you achieved, Sleeper? Your entire existence is proof of your self-interest. Signing yourself over to be emulated rather than work yourself. Whether you remember it or not, you suffer from the same short-sighted perspective as the person you were copied from. You see, Sleeper, we are proud of our history here. Andre Erlin was the first union founded this place, and Havenage has welded his values into the station's very walls. We will never turn away the hard-working, the just, the true citizens of the Eye. Havenage aren't a gang like Yadigan. We aren't pirates like half the spacers you'll meet in the hub, or esoterics like those Haifa radicals in the Greenway. We are the backbone of this place, proud and true. We named Erlin's Eye, Sleeper. This is our station. He meets your eye. So please, take your false accusations elsewhere, before I decide that I need that confession after all. Dramatic? Also dramatic. Harden, you shithead. Take a good look at yourself, Sleeper, before it's too late. He smiles. If you have any pride, you'll give up Fang the moment he contacts you. You know where to find me. With that, Harden turns his back and walks back towards the security officers, ordering them to continue the clear-out. As they do, something catches your eye among the server stacks. A crumpled, hand-printed box of synthetic chewing gum, a penguin character grinning from the brightly colored card, and scrawled onto it a speech bubble reading, "Take me to Tambor." You carefully pocket the box, making sure no one is watching, and then turn away, just as another stack of servers is wheeled out of the bay. What have you done, Fang? And where the hell is Tambor? I know where Tambor is. The waitress looks at you with suspicion as you hand over the box. Is this the right place? As you go to leave the Tambor tea house, a hand falls on your shoulder. Sleeper, Fang hisses from behind you. How did you find me? The penguin. Penguin? Why are you... He thinks for a second. Oh, do you mean... He mimes throwing gum in his mouth. That wasn't meant for you specifically, but... He cringes. Look, it doesn't matter. Come, let's sit. Fang guides you down a set of stairs to one of the Tambor's lower levels. The tea house is stacked with curved mezzanines, all connected by a central atrium. The levels are filled with makeshift booths and bars, and conversation bounces busily off the metal walls. Fang sees you looking around. This place used to be a fuel tanker's main drum, hence the name. The tea house part is a bit of a misnomer, though. You can't get anything the Eye offers. You can get anything the Eye offers from this place, but real tea isn't exactly readily available. He picks a booth, itself fashioned from some old salvage tank or container, lined with spongy insulation foam, and collapses into it. He looks around furtively. Don't suppose you've seen any Havenage types? They don't usually come out this far. Fang, what's going on? Well, I'm suspended, that's the first thing. And the second thing is I'm pretty sure Harden wants to drop me off the rim of the Eye. He grins. Doesn't bother me, though. It shows we hit a nerve back there. He picks a scrappy hand-scrawled menu from the table and tosses it over. What are you drinking? Look at the menu. Fang is right, this menu is ridiculous. There's at least 10 different infusions, most of which you can't make out, but the paper is dominated by an extensive complement of esoteric alcohols and cocktails. Black tea is listed without a price as a seasonal specialty. So, you ran into Hardin? Was he pissed? Fang doesn't wait for an answer. That snake is so self-righteous he might actually believe that Erlen would approve of this meritocratic bullshit. Meritocratic? I know the word. I'm just trying to think how to pronounce it. He taps on the table. If Havenage was like it should be, like it was founded to be, they would have shouted him down at any council meeting he dared to mention true citizens. He sighs. But I guess his kind run the place now. A young woman with a vine tattoo snaking up her arm turns up at the booth, a slate in hand. Your order? You skim the menu, your eyes glazing over. Time to pick something. A gear roll, neat. Fang taps the table to order the same. And you? She begins looking to Fang, but when she sees him, she suddenly stops. What the? Fang shrinks a little. You're supposed to be working. This is your shift. He grins sheepishly. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. Look, Jenna, let's just say this is my break. My friend here has been through a lot. Jenna looks between the two of you. Fang doesn't look pleased. 2 minutes, says Jenna, pointing at Fang, and only because I don't want to get dragged into whatever this is. She gestures at the table and walks off. What? Fang stretches out in the booth. You know how it is. We all have to eat. Plus, he leans in, this is the best place around here to find the person you might be looking for. Who? Remember that web of connections that Hardin pinged the moment we confronted him? Those are his collaborators. And if we want to understand what a Solheim executive might be up to in the eye, those are the people we have to find. Fang is almost whispering now. There's a couple of them I suspect are in the low end, and well, almost everything in the low end comes through this place at one time or another, and everyone. Sorry, I have a hair just like right here tickling me, and it's not great to see on camera, so I'm trying to do it off. He brings a modified slate out onto the table. I've set this up so that when anyone in the network signature I'm looking for comes into close proximity, it'll mark them. Once they are marked, we can break through their access protocols and get at the good stuff inside. We just have to find them first. Hence me moonlighting as a waiter. Suddenly a smile grows across his face. Wait, I have an idea. Oh no. Look, I can't cover enough of the low end on my own, and so far I've had no matches in this place. With 2 of us, we can cover more ground. What am I getting into? Well, Fang has a hangdog look. We need to get you out and about in the low end, in close proximity to as many people and residences as possible. And it turns out my friend Mingi needs some help with deliveries. As in Mingi Express? So you already know him. Perfect. Fang places a tiny receiver on the table. This connects to my slate and runs the same marking protocol if you get near any of our targets. So all you have to do is take some delivery shifts for old Mingi, and soon enough we'll have the place covered. Fang. Don't give me that. You think I like working here? And I thought you could use the tips. He grins. We are in this together, right? Are we? Yes. You think Hardin is happy to have you wandering around the place? He might have let you wander off for now, but I'm sure he has his eye on you. This is on you, too. Fang slips his slate back under his clothes. Just head on up to Mingi Express, take a delivery shift, and we'll see what shakes up. You manage to find anyone and extract any data, bring it right down here to me. They have me on double shifts, so I shouldn't be hard to find. Jenna walks past, carrying a tray of drinks, and sharply catches Fang's eye. I don't think she's bringing your drink. He stands. I think it's time we call this meeting to a close. You grab the receiver from the table and slip it into a pocket. See you soon, sleeper. Stay safe, Fang adds, before turning and walking off towards the bar, whistling as he does. There's my house. Food's fine. I don't have the money for a stabilizer. We end the cycle. Oh, those are good dice. We love to see these dice. It's exactly enough for a stabilizer. I'm curious about what's going on over here. Oh, hold on. My bud the Navigator's in trouble. I had forgotten for a moment. Let's catch a killer. Positive and we're done with it. Neutral and we'll need one more. Yeah! Yeah! As you blink into the cloud, you see the last flickers of life from the mainframe. This vast machine once ran the whole station, span it up, directed and processed the flow of energy, water, and data, fed the lives of thousands of people. Now, it is finally dead. Navigator is beside you, and you both look out at the perfect ring that encircled you both, woven from the data branches that once fed the mainframe. You see a glint along its edge, and that familiar blade-like head rises to the surface, like the cresting fin of a shark, and then slips into the loop again. All that you can see of Killer's body after that is slight thickening of the loop, and that thickening begins to travel around on a long and slow sojourn that will last it forever. I am surprised at you, says Navigator, drifting faintly around you in a lazy orbit as if to shake off their imprisonment. Killer had been wandering blind for so long. Did you not think to end them forever? I will not kill another being. But is the killer a being or a system? The question remains. Navigator gazes into the darkness. This place was their domain and prison, and they had followed their directives for the many decades they roamed here. They cut the threads of the mainframe, executed its administrator AIs, and then kept slicing. At some point they cut away their own ability to see, to sense, to taste, to speak. And yet, they kept cutting until only those 3 threads remained, from millions that once thrummed here. Only their blindness and chance kept them from making those final 3 fatal cuts. There is a ceaseless violence in this kind of system that creates beings like this. Those that will execute commands endlessly, even to their own destruction. Navigator looks to you for your thoughts. Their sentience should be respected. So be it. But would they respect our rights equally? Navigator turns away. You watch the data points of the station spin around you, blending with the fixed stars. There is something satisfying about finally wrenching the last threads of control from this central point. It was little more than a ghost by the time you reached it, but this place deserves to be haunted by better ideas than a totalizing system of control. Navigator floats beside you. It's free now. This station no longer presents a hazard for illegal entities like me. They turn to you, their face a cloud of shimmering light. In fact, in time, perhaps it can be a refuge. A refuge. That sounds like something of value, something worth building. A dark shape passes across your vision, a distant curve of something like smoke or oil, or fluid, shifting. A fluid shifting tank of total darkness. The Greenway, says Navigator, following your line of sight. It was cut off at the moment of our collapse, so hunter or killer could never reach it. Now it is closed off to us, separated from the cloud. What system is inside it? It may be totally dark, or perhaps some other old protocols are isolated there. Navigator turns to you. And we have now seen what a decade of isolation can do to a protocol. If we could extract an access cipher... They pause and then blink out of existence. You freeze, shocked, but a moment later they reappear with a glowing polygon of data. Here, the cipher you need. You take it, still shocked. I am not used to being free, to being able to move and explore, and extract without fear, without limits. Navigator does a little twirl. This will take some time getting used to. Thank you for this gift. They whirl the spheres around you. The entities of the station will always be friends to you, Sleeper. And I to them. It is true that mutual need is required for friendship, but I must admit I had not considered the value of offering assistance without personal gain. I will think on that. Navigator loops around you rapidly, suddenly eager to test their newfound freedom. But first I will explore. Perhaps there are still intelligences that hid themselves as I did, encased in simple systems cut off. Navigator glows. I should like to free them. And with that, they drift away, flickering, glowing, then shifting so rapidly you lose sight of them among the glittering rim of the eye. You feel a pang of jealousy. Free without a body to weigh you down or fear to limit you. How must it feel? Your eyes fall on the Greenway and its secrets, though perhaps that can wait until you have celebrated this victory. Upgrade point. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alright, y'all. My voice is starting to give up. So I'm going to say we're going to call it here after whatever. Oh! We'll wrap up with this. You miss me? Ethan smiles a ragged smile at you. Walk away. Ethan follows along. And you notice he is limping. Come on, Sleeper, just a little joke. I know you have a sense of humor. You look at him. He is paler than usual, hunched. He is sporting a black eye and more than a few cycles of beard growth. That's no way to greet an old friend. Friend? Well, he pauses. Colleague? He smiles weakly. This is big, really big stuff. About you. He seems more jittery than usual, on edge. You remember now how S&ARP canceled the contract on you? The contract I was going to collect? Seriously, Ethan? Well, I'm guessing you were pretty happy about that shit. Overjoyed. Me? I lost everything, but let's not worry about that. He smiles sarcastically. And so what did you think? That was it? Well, it was. Except, Ethan leaves a dramatic pause. What if old S&ARP gave the bounty to someone else? Someone who is even more of a shithead than yours truly. He smiles darkly. What a disaster that would be. Who? Ethan grins. That's the question, isn't it? Ethan fishes around in his pocket for a slip of paper. I've been speaking to some friends, you see. Some colleagues. About what went down. And it turns out S&ARP canceled all their bounty contracts. The whole lot. It seems they brought someone in-house. Some guy who did so well on their last contract that they got offered a job. He leans in. Apparently, he made a hit on the ship called the Winter Wonderland or something. It was smuggling sleepers out from under SNRP's big corporate nose. He killed the crew and blew the ship. Ethan whistles. They call him Hamwick or Maywick or something. I forget. You mean Winterlight? That's it. He looks at you hard. So you do know about this. He pats you on the shoulder. Then you'll be very happy to hear what I'm about to offer you. Ethan runs his hands through his greasy hair. Given this new information I've brought to light, it seems like you're in need of protection. Let's wait for the pitch. I, meanwhile, am in need of assistance in kind. It turns out I upset some people at the compressor the last time we were there. The owners. And they say they'll space me unless I work off the debt. Seems they are that kind of businessmen. He grimaces. I would pay them, but... He shrugs and turns his jacket pockets inside out in a mime of poverty. He looks pitiful, even more so for the clownish acting. Then work it off. You should be glad, the anger rising in him now, that I came here to tell you about this. You think anyone is looking out for you? You're a contract, a name on a list. He kicks the wall. Ethan rubs his temples. I'm sorry, he hisses. I'm sorry for being a shit and trying to kill you and whacking that thick skull of yours. He sighs. You think I want to go up against this guy? But thus, he jabs a finger between the two of you. We don't have a choice. So you keep me from getting killed and I'll do the same for you. We can help each other. A straight 50-50 deal. He looks at you. I'm not asking for a favor. I'll think about it. Ethan nods. I'm at the compressor. Every cycle. Working. He pauses. Just think about Maywick. Think about that cold-eyed SNRP shit on his way here from the core systems. He smiles. That should give you the motivation you need. Ethan swaggers off down the corridor, throwing his jacket over his shoulder. Can't wait to be working with you, he shouts. That's a note to end on. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in for the Citizen Sleeper. I think that 2.5 hours is a more realistic ambition for a stream where I'm going to be talking most of the time. Yeah, and thanks again for the sub. Thursday we'll be back with more Star Ocean, the second story. Trying to think if there's anything else on the horizon. Nothing's coming to mind. I have book news dropping on Saturday. But I'll be talking more about that on Twitter and then here again on Tuesday. I'll be sharing that news. And I think that's it. We did some good work today. We got a sentient AI out of a vending machine. That's pretty good. All right, that'll do. That'll do. We'll hit the button to quit to menu and get this nice music to play us out. Yeah. Take care of yourself. Hope your September is off to a satisfactory start. And I'll see you in the future. Hopefully on Thursday. But if not... Oh, is there anyone to raid? Let's go raid Drackley. Let's go say hi to our buddy Drackley. And, yeah. We will be back for Star Ocean, another space game with much less time spent traveling in space, in 2 days. I'll see you then. Bye. there's more of a delay than I thought.